But there's only one who was born and raised in Cape Elizabeth and has won a race or two, the Falmouth Road Race 6 times, Bix 4 times, the Boston Marathon twice, Chicago Marathon, and I'm just drawing a blank on that other race sometime in early to mid 80s, somewhere in California. What was the name of that event?
The LA Marathon.
Oh, the LA Marathon, the LA Olympic Marathon. And there's no question that without the confluence of all of that, none of us would be here today. And we are here because of the one person who founded this event, what we will call Joni's race, what she will resist always as the moniker for this race because she's way too humble. But despite your continual protestations, Joni, this will always be Joni's race. So with that, Joni, if you'd come up here.
Thank you, David, and thank all of you for showing up today. And it's the beach to Beacon, so the sun is shining. But seriously, I'd like to thank TD Bank for carrying us for 25 years. And whoever thought we would get this far. I founded this race, but more importantly, I founded a lot of friends to support this race. And that includes, right out of the blocks, Bill Ryan, who didn't even blink when I shared this crazy idea with him 28 years ago. And then I really leaned on my friends, which included Dave McGilvery and his team at Dimsey. It included David Weatherby, who led this organization as its president for 16 years, never missing a step. And I have to give credit to Dave's parents as well, Sue Weatherby, who inspired me through Cape Rec down below at the tennis court, and his dad, Keith, who was my biology and physics teacher, who let me run with the boys' track team, but would pick me up off the ground after workouts and say, okay, job today, but if you don't go home and ace your test tomorrow, I don't think what you did today means anything. So, there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of history with this race. And then on to Mike Stone, who led this organization. Never had run this race, signed up as a volunteer, didn't know what our sport was all about. Took away from the race what I think is the most important thing, and that is pulling people off the sidelines who don't believe in themselves, and then all of a sudden are inspired to say, I wonder if I could do that. And they run this race, and then they do a lot more with their lives. And now to David Backer, not a runner, but a swimmer, who gets our sport, gets our mindset. And, you know, the original motto for this was shine the light on kids. And we've done a lot more than that. And this year we're benefiting Volo, and a lot of the Volo kids are here, young adults. And we can't take enough inspiration from the group who's assembled behind me here today. They keep me going. You know, I had role models, and now I have role models. Running is a two-way road. It's accessible, it's affordable, and we all inspire each other. Everybody out there is going to have a story tomorrow. Thank you to the town of Cape Elizabeth for shutting down the roads to let this show go on. And I can't start with any more individual thanks, because everybody here plays a really, really vital part in the success of this race, especially our volunteers, who are worth their weight in more than gold medals, and to our sponsors, many of whom have been with us since the inception of this race. One is LL Bean, and this year, I have a few props, actually, I forgot about. This was the original book 1987. A good friend, Jane Dolly, who was president of the Roadrunners Club of America, lived in Cape Elizabeth. I said, Jane, I have an idea for a race. Would you direct it? She became overwhelmed quickly. I called my friend Dave. Dave, this belongs to you. And then this is the original guidebook from the first race. So I do keep a few mementos, but I'm getting older, and I don't want to be saddled with stuff, and my kids don't want to be saddled with stuff. So come to my archives and help yourself. But seriously, thank you all very much. It's going to be a great 25th, and God bless you all. And just to give everybody a sneak preview, this year, the overall winners of the race and the wheelchair winners are going to receive the signature TD Beach to Beacon LL Bean boots. I'll get out of here, Ray. And now on to the Dave or Larry. I didn't read the memo. I've got a few other things going on.
So,
We'll let Dave run of the show here.
so just one thing here. This book that Joni held up, that's sort of the original outline of what the race was going to be when she had the original conception for it. She showed you the cover. She didn't show you what was inside. I rest my case. It will forever
That wasn't
be.
part of the run of show.
Well, it was part of the run of show. So we are so fortunate to have the stellar group of sponsors that we have this year and that we've had over the course of 25 years. Every one of them is completely integral to the fact that we're able to make this race happen. They all play a key role. We have the great fortune of having had as our title sponsor for 25 years. I don't know how unusual that is among events to have a 25-year run with the same sponsor, but we've had the great fortune of having TD and its predecessor bank, People's as the original, and then TD Bank North. TD Bank North, you probably can't see this on here. This is a collector's item. If anybody wants to bid for it later, we can talk about that. The face behind the bank is Larry Wald, who has been more than just a name and a background supporter. Larry has been an active supporter of the race. He's been a runner of the race every year. He is about to run his 25th running of the Beach to Beacon tomorrow, so he is one of our legacy runners, or streakers as they are sometimes called. And the race couldn't possibly have a better advocate and supporter than we have in Larry. We are incredibly fortunate not only to have Larry, but of course the bank has been a partner in more than name. They have really been in lockstep with us and rise well beyond their requirements every year to ensure that what we do is special, that there are improvements, and that nothing falls through the cracks. They have a wonderful team, and we fully appreciate all of them. But Larry, if you would come up here, please.
So I'm getting way too much credit there, and just like at home, my wife Colette is doing all the work in the background, and I get my fair share, or more than my fair share, of the credit here at the race. Catherine and Jess from the bank do all the work behind the scenes, and I get to stand up here and get recognized. So thank you. To you both. I do want to make sure that our elite athletes who are in the front of the room and facing this way get acknowledged as well. Some of my keenest memories of this race are watching some of our wheelchair athletes and the grit and determination that they demonstrate. So thank you all for being here as well. So we don't have a ton of 25-year sponsorships that we do. But you can imagine with a footprint that runs all across the country of Canada and then down the east coast of the United States from Maine to Florida, there are an awful lot of things that we are involved in and support. And many of those are dedicated to healthy, outdoor, family kinds of activities. Several of them are really trying to be world-class events. Some of them set out to raise the bar on the environmental standards of whatever event it is that they happen to be. Some of them, the goal is community engagement, get everybody involved in it. And others are focused mostly on diversity and inclusion, making sure everybody of all ages and genders and abilities, whatever, that everybody is welcome in it. And then you look at this event, and it checks every one of those boxes. And so it's not a surprise why 25 years later we're still here. So feel it's been a blessing for me and the organization to be involved in this, and we appreciate the support we've gotten from the community of Cape Elizabeth, the running community, and it's been great. So thank you all for being here this morning. So, and one of the most fun parts of it, honestly, has been the beneficiary that we acknowledge every year and include in the race. And we've just had this long list of wonderful organizations that we've had the chance to work with and develop relationships. And there are any number of the presidents or executive directors of those organizations that developed lasting, lifelong friendships with. They're just such great people with what they devote their energy to. And this year I've had the good fortune of having somebody who was already a dear friend come to us with a great organization. And Dana was part of a community that supported my family in a really difficult time, and my children in particular, one of whom, Eric, is in the back there. Thank you for coming this morning. So it's really fun for me today to introduce Dana Anderson, who runs Volo, an organization that, and she's gonna, can I talk about the Cape? So they built these, or had made these wonderful superhero capes for the kids to wear in the fun run. And I just think it is such a great idea because, you know, superheroes have superpowers, and from my perspective, anybody who can connect in a meaningful way with young people with such frequency and such meaning is a superhero. So we're glad to have you here and would welcome you at the podium. So.
I'm not going to let Larry go down. You kind of stole my line, but what I wanted to do was begin, first of all, by thanking everyone for being here. And we, as an organization, have felt so welcome into this incredible family that is Beach to Beacon. And I'll start with you, Larry, because you're up here. I want to thank you and TD, Jess, and Catherine for having this recognition of the importance of supporting teens' emotional well-being. So you are superheroes in our eyes, and here's your very own Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to thank Joni. I know you get tired of being in the spotlight, but I also know that it's for good reason, and that when Volo was named the beneficiary, and you and I were talking, just the genuine way that you embraced our organization throughout the last 6 months, and really for many years that I've known you, is such a testament to who you are as a person, and that the founding of this race and the boxes it checks and the way that the people around here make everyone feel so good is a direct reflection of who you are. So thank you. And to Dave and Dimsey, who I hope they're not sick of our Zoom calls that are regular and all these questions we're asking about how to be the best beneficiary we can. You also have such an incredible organization, and specifically Courtney and Matt could not have done any more to make us feel welcome and so excited and ready for this weekend. Thank you. So I kind of cheated, and I have two awesome young women who are going to do most of the speaking, because they tell the story that that I could never tell as well. But I'll basically just tell you in a nutshell. Volo is an organization, and our core mission is to support the emotional well-being of young people. And we've been doing it for a decade, but who knew that when you enter a pandemic, the work we do would be extra relevant. So coming out of the pandemic, I think about the ways how important it is for us to all get our arms around, come up under young people to support them. They were incredibly isolated. Their anxiety and depression is through the roof. And it's our job to be here to support them. So the fact that we've been named the beneficiary of this year's race is a testament to the small town of Maine, and the values that our state shows in recognizing how important these young people are, not just for our future, but for right now. The ripple of their wellness and their happiness goes right into our communities, and I couldn't feel luckier to lead this organization and to work alongside these awesome young people who are going to just very briefly, I promise, Angie, tell you just a little bit about their experience in our work, which essentially we take young people on weekend retreats and in a group setting, let them have unplugged in-person conversations and connect in ways that help them know they matter, they're normal, and they belong. So, Paige and Layla.
Hi everyone, my name is Paige and I am a Volo alumna. Volo brought me so much, from self-growth to lifelong friends and a home away from home. Through unplugged, lighthearted conversation over home-cooked meals, or through in-depth conversation over guided journaling sessions, Volo taught me to listen intently and to ask questions of myself and others, to connect deeply with my community. In Volo, I grew to appreciate my imperfections and developed a keen sense of belonging. I continue to hold my Volo experiences dear and am now more prepared to make an impact on those around me.
Hi everyone, I'll be reading off my phone for a bit. My name is Layla. I'm also a Volo alumna. Fortunately, I joined Volo when I was only a junior in high school, and everybody knows how junior year goes. Very tough. In that time, I learned so many ways of being, which is one of Volo's greatest gifts to me. And quite literally, Volo has a couple ways of being that come with the whole aspect of talking about mental health and welcoming it in. My favorite way of being has always been connection. I will never forget, like ever, in a million years, the powerful essence of this organization and what they've done for not only me, but tons of others, including teens, and many more, and in this case, runners. I hope that I can spread this for so many other people and in so many other places as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Those were great. And thank you, Dana. And thank you, Larry. So, in addition to our great fortune in having TD as a sponsor for 25 years, we've also had the great fortune of having Dave McGilvery and his team DMSE as our race director and race management group for the same 25 years. And Dave McGilvery is a hard person to capture in a few sentences. He and his team DMSE have managed 1,400 plus events all around the world. He's been the race director for the Boston Marathon for 35 years. I don't know what the number is. It's a big number. It's more numbers than I am years old. I have watched Dave juggle an endless number of balls over 20 plus years. I'm still waiting to see one drop. Somehow he keeps everything in the air. He keeps everything moving. He is a master planner and logician. A race like this does not happen as seamlessly as it appears to without somebody like Dave behind the curtain making it all happen. Dave and his entire team, DMSE. In addition to that aspect of his life, he also somehow manages to, he's run the Boston Marathon 50 times, most of those at the end of the day of managing the event, after everybody else has gone home, after he's been on his feet all day, he still runs the marathon. He ran from Medford, Oregon to his hometown of Medford, Massachusetts in 80 days. He ran from Florida to Massachusetts. He ran 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. Did I mention that he's written 4 books? Did I mention that he doesn't sleep? Dave is one of the most interesting people you'll ever have a chance to meet. I hope if you haven't met him, you have a chance to talk with him. And last year when we did the press conference, I asked, who among us has a track and field stadium named after them? And of course, there was only one person. That was, of course, Joni, the Freeport Joan Benoit Samuelson Track and Field Stadium. Well, the answer is different today. We have twice as many people among us who have a hometown track named after them. This year, Dave's hometown of Medford, Mass, named its track the Dave McGilvery Track. A well-deserved honor, Dave. So with that, if you would join us.
So Dave just gave my speech. Anyone have any questions? Good. Hi. Hi, Mom. Hi, kids. So, first comments, thank you to all our distinguished athletes with us here today. I'm in awe of how fast you folks can run. I tell everyone I've run 2 hours 10 myself, and then for the second half of the marathon, I run another 2:10. It's pretty amazing. I usually ride in a lead motor scooter in the front of the Boston Marathon and all my other races, and I get an upfront view of how fast these people really are running, and try running a half a mile, a quarter of a mile as fast as they're running a 10K or a marathon. They are truly the best athletes in the world. They asked me to comment on the race quickly, all going well. I think after 25 years, we're starting to get this thing right, but we've tweaked it a lot. We started building this whole venue on Monday. That's 5 days of just setup. We had a race at Fenway Park a couple of weeks ago. It took us an hour and a half to set up. And this has taken 5 days. It just tells you the extent of all the work that goes into making this race what it is. I want to in particular thank the former 2 presidents of the organization, Dave Weatherby and Mike Stone, and of course now David Backer. It takes a lot of guts to lead an organization, because at the end of the day, it's on your shoulders. it's your call to make certain decisions. So thank you, in particular, Dave, for 16 years of you and I going back and forth. It was great. So thanks to the organizing committee, Town of Cape Elizabeth, Police Department, Fire Department, all the volunteers, and in particular, my team at DMSE, Matt West, my son Ryan, my daughter-in-law, and that's my nephew. Ryan's my son, my daughter-in-law, Courtney. It's a family affair for us, right? So all the DMSE folks. And as Andy Shackett so often reminds us, in 25 years now, it's only rained once on this race. So tomorrow, I just jinxed this thing, didn't I? It's not gonna rain, it's not gonna rain. So, just a few introductions here. High school participants today here with us. Ruth White from Orono. Ruth, raise your hand. Stand up. Say hi. You're set. I saw her running here last year and I was just, you're amazing. Amazing. I like how you're not taller than me either, so. Ruth is a senior at Orono High School and has been a member of the high school cross-country teams. This year, she was the main state Gatorade Player of the Year for cross-country and track and field. She won the New England Championship in cross-country and the 3,200 meter in outdoor track. She was part of the Class C championship team in cross-country and in outdoor track. Nathan Blades. You can stand too, Nathan. Sit down, Nathan. His love for running began when he started participating in the Portland Summer Recreation Track League. Recently, he ran 800 meters in a time of 1:54.7, the fifth fastest time in Maine indoor track history. He has also achieved a best of 4:21 in the mile, as well as 15:39 for 5K during a cross-country season. He looks to have a successful senior year to close out his time as a Bulldog. Nathan hopes to continue his running career in college. With us also are a few wheelchair participants. Herman Garrick, who hopes to repeat his victory last year. Herman. James Simbetta, who holds the course record. James. And with us is also Jason Robinson. And top female finisher from last year was Eon Hone, and she's not here today, but she will be racing tomorrow. And lastly, on the Achilles participants, we have 5 individuals. TD Bank, obviously our title sponsor, has been the presenting sponsor of the Achilles Hope and Possibility 5 miles since 2019. Achilles Hope and Possibility, operated by the New York Roadrunners, is one of the largest inclusive races of its kind in the United States that welcomes athletes with and without disabilities, as well as many military veterans. So one last quick story from me. When I was about 10 years old, I went to the Boston Garden to see the Celtics play. And right before the Celtics game was a high school game. So in the stands was sitting a gentleman by the name of Bill Russell. And, you know, Bill was about 6'9". I'm 5'4", on a good day. And my brother and I went up to Bill Russell. We had the race, game day program in our hands. We went up to Bill and said, Bill, Mr. Russell, could we have your autograph? What do you think he said? No. He said, no. No? I walked away. I was devastated as a 10-year-old boy that I got rejected. He has his reasons. I don't begrudge that. God bless Bill, greatest basketball player of all times. But he didn't sign my game day program. Since that day, 30 years later, I never asked anyone again, ever, for their autograph. I've met presidents, I've met movie stars, I've met some of the greatest people in the world. I couldn't do it. 30 years later, I was putting on a race at the Celtics training camp, and Bill Russell came. And I said to my brother, Alan, Bill's gonna be at the race. He found the game day program that we asked Bill to sign 30 years before that. He still had it. He brought it to the race. We went to Bill and said, Bill, Mr. Russell, could we have your autograph? What did he say this time? No. No. Rejected again. That's the toughest thing. In this world, there are 3 types of pain. There's physical pain, which we can overcome. There's mental pain, which we can overcome. Then there's that debilitating pain. It's called emotional pain. And I learned when I was a young kid about rejection, and it's really hard to overcome. So for 30 more years, I never asked anyone for their autograph again, ever, ever. And I've given out 1 or 2. In fact, I put on a kids race once, and they asked me to sign their shoe and sign their shirt. One kid come up to me, he had an orange. He goes, will you sign my orange? I said, what the freak am I gonna sign your orange for? Aren't you gonna peel it, eat it? But 60 years, I haven't asked for an autograph. Well, I have right here one of my most favorite pictures that we took out there. This picture.
Hold it still.
Hold it still. This picture here. You're going to be witness to me asking.
Sign it, Bill Russell.
Oh, look at that! This wasn't planned, Joni. But Joni, this race means so much to me, so much to Dimsey, so much to everyone in this tent, so much for all these athletes here, so much to TD, so much to so many of us, and so does this person, Joni. So I ask you, I'm not going to propose to you, so I'll ask you, will you give me your autograph?
I will.
Sign Bill Russell on there.
You know, I could tell another story, just briefly. This is what's so great about our sport, because we do give out autographs, right, everybody? Yeah. Right? So I watched John Havlicek get asked for an autograph once. And he said to the child, do you know who I am? And the child didn't know who he was because he just saw other kids asking for his autograph. And he didn't give that young 10-year-old an autograph either, Dave. But I'll give you an autograph.
All right. Now, the real reason why we're here, to introduce all these folks. And, you know, I don't know too many people who have a photographic memory. And this guy must stand in front of his mirror for 3 months leading up to this race and memorize every single one's PRs and what they ran last week. And I can't remember what I had for breakfast. And this guy knows everyone's PRs and everything else. So without further ado, our elite athlete coordinator, Larry Bartlow.
First of all, I guess happy birthday, 25th birthday to us, right? So it's been a great pleasure to be here. And first, you know, the sponsors have been wonderful. TD has been an amazing sponsor. I also would like to thank all the host families. For 25 years, you've been opening up your homes and making Cape Elizabeth a very, very special place. And I know some relationships have developed over the years, and it's been a wonderful experience for the athletes and wonderful experience, hopefully, for the town of Cape Elizabeth. And also, I got to thank Terry for putting up with me and all the changes and everything else and all the hard work she did, because I'm sure I drove her crazy, and we were texting last night till like 1 in the morning to make all this happen. So thank you, Terry, for all the hard work. So thank you. since this is the 25th anniversary, we're talking about history. And when we look at the race, and we're going to pick the women's side of things because of obvious reasons. Today, I think when we look at how the women's marathon has gone, we start with the American record. We have Joan, former American record holder. We have Dina back there, who took the first self-truth place, right? And of course, we have Karen back here, who took it to another level. So I think it's great to see, this is history. This is 40 years of running history. And now we look at, there's a marathon down in Boston that's also very important to us all. And we look at history there. We have Joan from the 1980s, and then we move on to, we have Catherine Dureba, 3-time champion. Who's still in for pleasure to be here. We have Edna Kiplagat someplace. Edna. And of course, we have this year's champion, Helen O'Beary. So again, it's 40 years, about 40 years of celebrating women. And just so all of you know, as the Olympics are coming up in 2024, the marathon course is about a celebration of women. And the course is going to be to honor the October 5th march in 1789 for the French Revolution that the women did back then. So the whole women's marathon, the whole marathon course for the Olympics is based on the accomplishment of women. So women have come full circle, and it's amazing how fast they're all running today and where the sport is going, and hopefully the future is very, very bright. So, and we'll make this happen here. Okay, in the back, Bia Simbasa, USA. He's run 27:25. Last week, he won the VIX 7-mile USA Championship. Next to him, from Team Honda, all Team Honda. No, that's okay. That's okay. All Team Honda. So thank you, first of all, Saito-san, for bringing in Team Honda. This is not the Formula One team or the motorbike team. This is the running team. Okay. We got Ito-san, who was an Olympian in 2021 in Tokyo. He also was in Eugene in 2022. He's run 27:25, and he's one of the top 10,000 meters runners, and also Japanese champion in 10,000 meters. And next to him is Showa Kawase. Showa Kawase. Showa's run 27:55. He's also training right now. They're getting ready for a big competition to take place in a few months. And next to him is Hideta Kusani, who's run 13:23 for 5,000 meter. Recently ran 13:25 for 5,000. They're all been training up in Park City, correct? In Utah. So they're all in the U.S. doing altitude training. And so welcome, and it's great to have you all here, and thank you, Team Honda. Okay, Edna Kiplagat. Stand up, Edna, come on. Now, Edna's been at this for a long time, and she's a 2-time Boston champion. She's won New York City Marathon. She's also won Chicago. She's got 2 world championships. She's run 2:19:50. She was one of the early women who broke 2:20. That's standard bearer of 2:20. Edna's now a master, so she's still running great. It's amazing how many years she's been at it, and she's really been one of the greatest women athletes in the sport. And next to her is Ricati Cibiano. She's run, recently she's run 30:14 in Castillans, Spain. She was, I believe, 5th in Peachtree last week, a few weeks ago, July 4th. She went back to Kenya and trained. Hopefully she got a little faster, and hopefully good things will happen. And we'll see you go. And next to her, from USA, Marcos, I have to come back to you, okay? Because I always, mess up here. Next, Marcos is Helen O'Beary. Helen is had an amazing career. Obviously, she's the Boston champ. If you look at her background, she's won world championships indoor, outdoor, and cross country. She's got 2 Olympic silver medals, and now she won her first marathon major in winning Boston. So she's done it all. And if you look at her bio in 2011, like her first register mark is she ran 2 minutes flat for the 800 meters. So she's had a progression and has done things amazingly, and she's had an amazing career. And she's, you know, when you talk about people elevating the sport and bringing the sport to a different level and bringing it with grace and charm, Helen has been special for our sport. So thank you, Helen. And next to her is Cara D'Amato. She's a former American record holder in the marathon. She ran, I think it was 2:19:12. She's has a PR 31:02 for 10,000 meters. She will be representing the USA at World Championships this year. So you know, good luck, and hopefully good things can happen for USA there. And next to her is Connor Mantz. Connor was All-American at BYU. He had been coached by a very good friend of this race, Ed Eyestone, who some of you might remember. Connor's run 27:25 for 10,000 meters. He's run 2:08 in Chicago for his personal best. This year, if you watch Boston, you know, he ran 2:10, and I'm sure he wasn't happy with the time. But if you watch the film, he was mixing it up. And the one thing that a lot of us have said is everyone gets concerned about time, and not about racing. And he went there to race. He went there to do something. Hey, it didn't work out perfect, but this is running. This is our sport. It's not going to go perfect every time, but you know, he's got that heart, and that's the important thing in this sport. So next to Connor from Canada, Andrea Sekafin. I know I messed that up, but she's run 31:13. She's a Canadian Olympian, and she's also the four-time 5,000 meter champion in Canada. So welcome. And she also runs for Bowerman Track Club. She's been very gracious to the race. Next to in back, Foytum Tesfaye. Yes. Foytum is the current champion from Peachtree. She's consistently has been under 31 minutes. She's run like 30-40. And I think that she's ready to go. She's another one after Peachtree. She went back to Ethiopia. She's trained, so she's coming out and she's ready to run. She's ready to roll. She said last night. And next to her is Karibul Arasa from the USA. He went to OSU, right? Oklahoma State. No, I don't want to confuse the Sooners and the Cowboys. He's run 1 hour for the half marathon. He was an All-American at Oklahoma State. It's his first time here, so hopefully some good things will happen for him, and we can see everybody run quite fast. Next to him is Berkerai Dagba. She was third here last year. She's the 3-time champion of the Houston Marathon. She's run 2:21 for the marathon, and she's here training. She'll be going to Colorado after and getting ready for her fall marathon. So she's practically American now anyway. She's here all the time, so welcome back. Okay. Next to her is Mukhtar Idris. He's run 27:17 for 10,000 meters. He is 2-time world champion in the 5,000. He's also got 2 bronze medals in cross country. In world cross country, when you see guys who medal in world cross country or are in the top 10 in world cross, that means they can run. His first time here. He just won a race in Spain a couple of weeks ago, so I know he's ready to roll. So we expect a lot of good things from him tomorrow. And next to him is Yahui Adisu. And this is some background. He's a 222 under 20 world champion in the 5,000 meters. This is his debut road race. He's run 12:58 for 5,000 meters. And if any of you know track times, that's pretty dang fast. So I think it's great having these guys come out, these young guys come out, because we can build a relationship, and we can be part of their growth, and we'll see him someplace else on a bigger stage in the Olympics or something, World Championship soon. I'm sure he's going to get there. And next to him is Amnawork Walanai. this guy, I'm going to say he's only run 27:37 for 10K, but when you look at what he's done in the half marathon, it's crazy. He's run 58:40. He's probably run under 60 minutes like 8 times, and maybe 3 times under 59 minutes. So his name, work means gold in Amharic language. So I think when he steps on the line, he is definitely pure gold. So he's here, he's ready to run. He hasn't done the 10K here in the U.S., but this is sort of his debut in U.S. Road racing. And next to him is Camela Cardama Valles. Wait a second, I have to do this, I'm sorry. Go, Doc, sorry. She's your NCAA champion in the 10,000 meters. She's run 32:16. She also won a bronze medal at the U20 European Championships. So thank you for coming. It's great to have you here. And next to her from Iowa State is Edwin Kurgod. He's run 27:50. He finished 5th at Peachtree a month ago. He was very patient with me, so thank you, because I know it took us a while to get you in here. So I think he's ready to roll, and his management team says he's going to have a good race. And next to him, from Eritrea, is Yamani Haile Selassie. He got in very, very late last night. He was 5th in the Olympic Games in the steeplechase. He ran 8:11 here for steeple. So I know this is moving up to distance for him, but I think he's ready to roll. I think you're going to see, he's definitely got the wheel. So it's just a matter of getting that distance correct. And behind him is Reed Buchanan, a Kansas and a Portland State guy, right? And he ran 27:52 for 10,000. He's a silver medalist from the Pan Am Games in the 10,000 meters in Peru. And he's run a marathon in 2:11. So it's great to have Reed here for the first time. And next to him, his wife, Sarah, who used to run a lot in this area. She's run 2:32 for the marathon. She ran that in Nagoya, Japan. If you know anything about Nagoya is a women's event, and it is the richest women's event in the world. I think first place is $200,000. So they really got things going in Nagoya, and it's a great event. Next to her is an All-American from Stanford, Fiona O'Keefe. Fiona has run 30:52. She was going to be a factor at the USA Champs, but she got sick, and it's sport, right? So not everything works out. She definitely has the wheels. 30:52. I think women running into 31. That's the new place. That really separates the athletes. And next to her is Susanna. Wait a second, I'm missing her name. Sullivan from Susanna is the. She ran 2:24:27 in London. She got to qualify for the World Championship team. So along with Kira, she'll be representing the USA in Budapest coming up in August. Okay, so where am I? Okay, over there is Sarah Hall, who's been here before. Sarah Hall has, run. She's done so much. She's run 2:20 for the marathon. She had that brilliant run in London, where she finished 2nd. She's run. I believe she's been in the top 8 in the World Marathon Majors 6 times. And also another Stanford grad, so there's a lot of new Stanford people here, right? And next to her, from Maine, right? Our own Maine. Also, a new mother, so we'll take that. We'll look at that. Rachel has been predominantly a 5,000 meter person, and so she's run a couple of road races, a few road races. But I think it's just great having her here, because I know it takes time after having a baby. And I'm sure you're running different training now, so I'm sure you got something else going on. And but anyways, thank you for coming. It's great to have you here. And next to her is Momoka Kawaguchi. Yes, stand up. She's part of the Uniqlo team out of Japan, the design fashion people. She has run 31:55 for a 10,000, and she recently won a silver medal at the Asian Games, which I happened to see her run in Bangkok a few weeks ago. So it was good, and it was very warm there. Trust me, she didn't have ideal weather. And next to her is Seika Ogata. Seika is a 112 half marathoner, and again, she's part of the Uniqlo team. And a lot of these athletes every year, Shoba Nagamura has been very gracious to this race, and he's been sending athletes for 10, 15 years. So, you know, I'll say thank you later to Shogo, but he's sorry he missed the lobster bait, because that's the only reason why he comes is to eat lobster, he says. So Shogo's been great. And next to her, next is Wakaru Getachew. She's the Ethiopian steeplechase record holder. She's run 8:52. She won the silver medal in Eugene World Championships last year. So that is predominantly our elite field. And can someone introduce Marcos and his Rob Gomez? Rob. Yep. Rob will talk about it.
Here it comes.
Putting the pressure on you.
Are you comfortable, Marco?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have a very special para-athlete this year with Marco Cisetto. Marco. Where are you coming from, Marco?
From Kenya, but yesterday I decided to come from Orlando. That's where I live.
Appreciate it. Right, thank you. Also.
I'd just like to share a little bit of Marco's story with all of you, because I'm sure many of you will be hearing it over the weekend, but he will be meeting with some of the Volo people shortly after the press conference. But Marco was at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Anchorage, sorry. It's colder down there than it is in Fairbanks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Marco decided he'd go out for a winter training run like many of us have done here in Maine. And unfortunately, there were whiteout conditions at the time. And Marco lost his bearings and really got lost, right?
Yes.
And
For more than 56 hours.
for more than 56 hours. And I'm going to let Marco tell the rest of the story, because it really is a story of inspiration. Do you mind, Marco?
Yes.
By the way, he is the world record holder as a double amputee.
I think they chose me to speak last year so that, you know, I think these people are very smart. They wanted to let all of us know that running is just the easiest sport to do. If a guy without legs can do it, you can do it. So I went from Kenya to Alaska. It's a very long story, but I'm going to say it in like 5 seconds. I was stuck in the wilderness for more than 56 hours, came back, and I didn't know how long I was there. I walked to a hotel lobby, and the guy at the hotel lobby asked me where I had been for 3 days. I didn't know I was out for that long. Unfortunately, I had frostbite on my feet. And I remember one statement from that ordeal. When I was laying in a hospital bed, a doctor asked me how I was feeling. And I was explaining everything on how I was feeling. And I told the doctor, everything else is good in my body except my feet. And he said, why is that so? I said, because there is no pain in my feet. And he said, I don't like that statement, because pain is sign of life. So if you feel pain tomorrow when you're running that 10K, know that you're still alive. So it's a good thing. But after my amputation, I had two choices: to just sit and feel sorry for myself, or to pick myself up and run. And remember, I left Kenya to come and live an American dream of running and going to school. And all of a sudden, I don't have the tools that brought me to America with me. My feet, they are gone. But then, I was able to get myself back to running. I tried sprinting. I was still a Kenyan citizen then during the 2016 Paralympics. I qualified, but there was some technical issues, so I didn't go. So I switched to long distance because in college I ran 10K, 5K, and all that. But then I told myself, there is nothing for amputees in road races. No money, nothing. There is nothing organized out there for people running on prosthetics. And I said, somebody should do something. But then I remembered, who could that somebody be? That can be me. So I told myself, I want to do something about road running for people with prosthetics. So I decided to go big the first time. I went and ran New York City Marathon. But then I ran 2 hours and 52 minutes, so that was very encouraging. I went to Boston, ran 2:42, and then I went to Chicago, 2:37, went back to New York and ran 2:35. And then age caught up with me, so I have not ran something faster than 2:35. I'm still working on it. But just like this race here, when Johnny started it, I don't think he just started it so he could have something beneficial specifically to her. She has had all her good things in her life. She is the first woman American to win the Olympics in 19. I was actually talking to my host this morning and I said, I'm going to be 40 next week. And then I remembered when Johnny ran her marathon, I said, was I 1 year when she did that? But that tells us good deeds do not expire. So she started this race to inspire the next generations, because what I have realized from my own experience is if nobody offers that opportunity for people to explore their potential, nobody would know or nobody would realize what they are. If this race was not started 25 years ago today, we would not be talking of who won it last year, the previous year, or so many other years. So that opportunity, and all of us here have something to offer to humanity. Whatever you are thinking, always remember, our thoughts are things. The only difference between thoughts and things is someone thought about her idea, his idea, and said, I want this idea to be something. So she started with that whatever orange envelope and put up ideas, and it became a thing. And that thing is what we are celebrating today. So we always, if there is nothing else you can learn from this event today, remember, your thoughts are things. Go out there and execute them, and we will change humanity. Thank you.
Forget everything that happened up until the time Marco stepped up to the lectern. That alone was well worth the price of admission for everything that you're going to see, hear, and experience over the course of the weekend. Marco, that really was an incredible story, and thank you for sharing it. Yeah, next time you think you're trying to figure out how to deal with something that's troubling you, think back to what you just heard from Marco. So as a quick wrap up, we've thanked lots of people. One thanks that we haven't yet made is to the town of Cape Elizabeth. The town of Cape Elizabeth opens its entire town to the race. The roads, the school, Fort Williams. We have so many town employees. We have the town manager, Matt Sturgis. We have Fire Chief Young. We have Police Chief Fenton. We have Public Works Director Jay Reynolds. There's so many people who come together to support us and make sure that the race gets all the support it needs to make it happen. So I just want to thank the residents of Cape Elizabeth for their generosity. We recognize that it's, for some it feels like an intrusion, for some we are a welcome roadshow for the summer, but everybody is welcoming, and we are so appreciative of it, because without it, we wouldn't be here. So weather permitting, please join us this afternoon for the kids' fun run at 4 o'clock. At 5:30, we have the Beacon walk, run, roll. And then at 6 o'clock, we have the high school mile. And I mean, the weather's looking more promising by the minute, so we are hoping that all those are going to happen. If they do, please join us. They are all great events. And with that, I'm going to let everybody go, but athletes, stay where you are. We don't want you to leave your seats. Dave McGilvery wants to talk with everybody for just a minute about tomorrow's race, some of the rules. And then, as soon as he's done, I'd like everybody to please, all of you, to come to the finish line for a photo. So don't get caught up in conversations. Don't let anybody else distract you. Please come to the finish line for just a couple of minutes for a photo. Then you can do whatever you want to do. Okay, with that, thank you to everybody.
Yeah, not sure where we're gonna go yet. So. Where is the shirt? Interested? What do you think is a good place for pizza? Something else we take care of.